Hello, my name is Quinn Held, and today I'll give a speech on Ronald Reagan's speech at the Brandenburg Gate. Ronald Reagan was one of the most beloved presidents in American history. He made a lot of impacts throughout history and during his presidency. His speech at the Berlin Wall is one of the most famous speeches he ever gave because of his line, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall," which contributed to America's part in the war on communism. The speech was given in 1987, and it placed the Soviets under more intense pressure to relinquish control over the East Berlin so that it may be as prosperous as West Berlin and other capitalistic regions throughout the world. Because Reagan was president during one of the more difficult times in the world history, his foreign policy was very established and well known. He was president during the end of the Cold War, so a lot of his job involved mending relationships between nations, including the Soviets. He was widely beloved for his positive impact on American economy and his effective foreign policy. His charisma was a major contributor to the impacts he made. His speech at the Brandenburg Gate called for the Soviets to finally release control over East Berlin. The Soviets took control of East Berlin after World War II in 1949, but did not build the wall until 1961. The wall represented communism and the totalitarian government that ruled over the area, while West Berlin remained free and was able to prosper. East Berlin was under strict control and had to obey the Soviets and their way of life. Reagan's main point throughout this speech was for calling for freedom and capitalism. Therefore, his speech was just a constant, strong plea with the Soviet government to believe that freedom truly is better for mankind. And while his efforts to obtain peace and freedom weren't immediately effective, they did make a big step in the fight on communism. The message of the speech was constantly asking for the Soviets to release control over it and let East Berlin be prosperous. The wall represented the repression of East Berlin and the repression of communist governments all over the world. So by asking the Soviets to tear it down, Reagan was not only fighting the communism in East Berlin, but also the communism around the world. There was a heavy focus on freeing the freedom of West Berlin and how much more successful they had been throughout the city in comparison to East Berlin. Because of this evidence, they were able to see the actual effects of freedom in the same culture and area as East Berlin under a different kind of government. His strong words and passion towards the subject led to the results that prevailed. Reagan's speech may have not immediately been effective, but it was a major step in the freeing of East Berlin, when he stated, "But today I say, as long as the gate is closed, as long as the scar of a wall is permitted to stand, it is not the German question alone that remains, but the question of freedom for all mankind." He solidified the crucial matter of communism in minds of people throughout the world. His influence on freedom not only impacted East Berlin, but also helped to bring awareness and resistance to totalitarian governments everywhere. In 1990, the Soviets finally released control of East Berlin, and the wall came down, finally freeing East Berlin and uniting it to West Berlin once again.